Hello all, welcome to another endgame study of the Solving Harder Studies to Improve Chess Calculation series. This composition comes from Karl Becker. He was born in Germany, but then he went to Australia, to the other side of the world, to find pearls. And besides that, he also composed the chess endgame studies, and this one is one of them. So let's find the pearl that Karl Becker produces for us. As always, I suggest you watch the guide so you are better prepared for the practice. If you are already prepared, then you already know that the countdown of 10 minutes will start, and then I'll catch you up to start the guided solution. And here we are for the solution. Of course, this is not the easiest starting position because we have three light pieces, of course, but black has one and an extra queen. And besides that, the h pawn from black is threatening to advance very fast and promote to a queen. So things don't look very cool for white from the beginning. And notice also that, okay, we have a pawn near promotion, but grabbing the pawn is not an option. If you advance, of course, black can also take it. And so, how can we find ideas when we look at this kind of positions? And the best is to start with forcing moves. We look at forcing moves, and even if they don't work, we start to see what is going on, what are the dynamics of the position. And probably let's start with this one. So attacking the queen, a bit weak, of course. The queen gives us check, maybe we protect it. Now maybe black can advance the pawn, okay, we control it. And of course, now black can release the knight, and things now are a bit more threatening. There's a check coming, and then taking the knight. If I go with the knight to e4 to avoid that, well, black can start to exchange and then take the pawn. Notice that the threat of going to the promotion is always there. There will be a check over here and controlling the promotion. So this one doesn't work at all. What else? Okay, the other. Okay, let's take the pawn. But over here, well, black can just take with a king. Even if it loses the h3 pawn, now threatening a discover check. But of course, over here, the queen moves to a7, not very easy to find. But the idea is okay, I will come back. The pawns are pinned. I can't advance now. The d pawn, the knight can take it because the other pawn can't protect because of the pin. And so black is already controlling the situation and can slowly build for a win from here. So this one also doesn't work. Last but not the least, we should check the checks. And so let's see what happens with knight e4. And as you can see over here, it still doesn't work. Otherwise, I wouldn't place the two question marks over there. So let's see what happens. Okay, this starts to become more interesting. Why? Because very fast we see, okay, I check the king. If the king takes the pawn, it's another blunder because we can fork it and grab the queen. Okay, I'm starting to see something over here. And if the king goes also to f5, well, I can force the same variation, but first I take it with check, the king goes to the same place, and I get to fork again. Okay, nice. So the king here is forced to go to e7, and this is also like a feature that we are looking when we are calculating. Okay, if we can force a move, then we can go deep, and so the idea starts to build up. But of course, here white is just playing to save the game, although we don't know it yet while calculating. And the way to force it now, it's not easy. We need to start to do something, and let's go with advancing the pawn. What happens if we advance in the pawn? And now it's an interesting situation. It's black to play and to draw. I'm going to give you 1 minute and find the precise continuation from black to avoid losing this one. And black needs to find that the only way to keep for a draw is to accept the knight, allowing white to promote to the queen. Because when that happens, then the queen checks our king, of course, to keep the knight. the king stays close, but that doesn't help because the queen just sacrifices another brilliant one, because on the other side there will be a fork. The king moves, we grab the queen, and this is a draw, although 3 pounds, well, white can take just one, and so the remaining pounds are not enough for a win for our other side, and so black was able to save the day. Of course, the other move would be to take the pound, to grab the pound, but I'm not covering it here at the moment because this is just transposing to the main line. So this is a loss, and we are going to see this position in a while. Okay, let's go for again the starting position. We already saw, okay, we now have some ideas of the king grabbing the pawn, then I can fork it if it accepts it. And so the key idea was seen, and I started with 94, but then there was a variation that where black was able to allow the promotion of our pawn to a queen and getting a draw. So as soon as we get this idea, okay, this was almost working, let's change the move order. Another technique that it's very interesting to find a solution for our calculation problems. So what we have done was check, then the king move, and then we advance the pawn. So let's exchange it. Let's first advance the pawn. And if you do that, then you find the brilliant continuation that allows white to go for a win from here. Of course, now it's similar. If the king moves, let's say, to, of course, g6, we get the fork, so not an option for black. Other options, like, for example, taking the pawn, okay, now it's too soon, because as you can see, there is a difference. The knight is protecting the d5 pawn, so we get the queen, and there's not much that black can do, can attack our pawn, but we just move the king away. There are no more checks from the queen, and so white is going for a win over here with an extra piece, and these two connected pawns already prepared to advance and create more trouble for black. And so the forced move now is to go with the knight taking the pawn. And of course, you already saw this on the variation we saw before. And now we check it. And of course, we already know the king can't go to the side. We get the same fork and we win. And if it goes to f5, we already saw this. We force it to go again to the same place and we fork it again. So again, as we saw on the first 94 move, we see that we get this position. And so white needs to win from here. So again, 1 minute for you to find the next move. Pause if you need more, and then I catch you up to continue. And we need to sacrifice our knight with d6 check double exclamation mark. We are going for a win, sacrificing our knight. Well, what other options have we here? Let's say, for example, we grab the knight. Well, this just allows black to push over. Very simply, we are going to win it with black over here. That's not a question mark anymore. This is going to be a loss for white. So we need to go with forced lines, and the only one is to go again with d6, another sacrifice. Of course, here the king going back, it's just an happy day. Let's go home soon. It's a checkmate. And so the king is forced to really accept the knight. And from here, we need to go on. So another minute for you and find the final move before I go until the end of the solution. And I don't think this is hard. The correct move is to go with knight g5 check. What else? Maybe you're thinking, okay, if I take with the bishop, well, but this is simple. Black can just block it either with the pawn or the knight. So now we are forced to move our knight, and it's impossible after a while to force whatever move from here. So you need to find from this position that we need to go with knight g5 exclamation mark. This is not hard. Well, the king has only two options, but of course going to f5 is not that hard. We just skew the king takes our knight, but on the other side we take the queen, and our pawns are too dangerous for only the knight to be able to save the day. And so the king goes to, of course, f6, and the continuation is a simple one. We check it again. Notice that whatever the king moves, either way, it's going to be a fork. So we just move. There's a fork. The king can go, for example, to whatever. And so, as you can see, the pawn is controlled. We are able to now advance our own pawns, and so it's an easy win for white over here. Well, this was an hard starting position. But as we saw, with a bit of patience, going with forced moves, getting some ideas, then using that small technique of exchanging moves on the most promising one, we're able to find the solution for us. As always, I hope you have enjoyed and catch you up in future videos. Bye bye and keep checking.